We start with last night's game in Buffalo. Bills get the 31-21 win over the Dolphins to improve to 3-0. Josh Allen throws for 3 touchdowns. Bills have their way with the Dolphins when they have the ball. Had a little trouble stopping the Dolphins when the Dolphins had the ball until, of course, Tua went full Tua and just threw the ball right to a Bills linebacker. Danny, you're the only person at the desk who picked the Bills to win the AFC. Through 3 weeks, have the Bills certified themselves as clearly the class of the AFC?
Yes. I don't think there's much room for debate here because, at least how I interpret the question, they beat Baltimore, who is in their class. You could say it was a fluky result, but they won the game.
Brew's not liking that. Brew's off camera, but he is. Brew looks like he just bit into a lemon.
I watched the game. I watched the game as well. But coming into the year, I had Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Ravens, Chargers as like the teams realistically that could contend for that. The Bengals have lost their quarterback. The Chiefs have not been playing very well. The Chargers have been excellent. The Ravens looked obviously very good but lost to Buffalo. And Buffalo's the team that's 3-0. But more than that, this is at least how I do it, if you have a long track record, I'm going to give you more benefit of the doubt. So the Chargers, they need to prove it more over the course of this year before everybody else is going to catch up and agree with where I'm at on the Chargers. The Bills have arguably been the class of the AFC for 5 years in the regular season. They have been. Oh, I'm sorry. Since 2020, point differential, points per game, yards, opponent points per game, opponent yards, takeaways, opponent passer rating, and sack differential. They're first across the board.
How many 1 seeds have they had?
Yeah, no.
Right.
Well, that's the regular season, right?
That is a single regular. That is a single regular season, and this year they probably will have their first 1 seed. No one, obviously, the Arrowhead Invitational is obviously the Chiefs Conference and the Chiefs League. Again, no one is, but the regular season this year goes through Buffalo, does it not?
I see class as like they're on a level above everybody else. That's how I define class. Not, you can say, should they be favored right now? Okay. But class, I just watched them get pushed all over the field by the Baltimore Ravens. And then the Ravens, as they do, and that's fair, gave them the game.
Okay.
So I think Baltimore, Buffalo, I'm not putting the Chiefs out of there right now. The Chiefs are the class of the conference. And then I'm with you on the Chargers. As much as I like them, I want to see a little bit more. But I think those 3 teams are on the top tier. Unless the Chiefs lose to the Giants, they're up there on that tier. So, no, not the class.
Yeah, and then last night they were supposed to go and blow out the Dolphins. And you watch the game, the Dolphins were in it to the end. If there wasn't a mistake on the punt block and then the poor decision by Tua, Dolphins easily could have won that game, where I don't think anybody, if you're truly the class of that division, you'd think they'd walk all over the Dolphins like they were expected to, but that wasn't the case at all. And I understand you want to give the Chargers some more time before you buy into them, but Justin Herbert played really well last season, and it didn't.
Well, that's why you're the Herbert guy, coach.
Yeah,
everybody knows.
There's a lot of guys who like.
You picked him to win MVP, right?
I did.
A
lot of other guys.
Did he bet him to win MVP?
A lot of other guys trying to hop on that.
Exactly. I know you were the first. Everybody knows.
I was there before anybody else.
Yeah.
But you look at what he did last season, and then what he's done the early part of this season. He's made a pretty strong argument that similar to Josh Allen, he's starting to turn a corner. And if that's true with the way that they played defensively, and then with Jim's track record of turning organizations around and getting them, into championships, you got to give them a strong nod as well.
All right, so I want to give the Bills credit for what's different this year and really the last 2 years, and Coach alluded to it, and then talk about what's the exact same. What's different is Josh went from the most turnover-prone player in the league to almost the least. Lamar is technically the least. Right. But in the Josh, I don't know if we can show the graphic or not. Josh, from 21 to 23, averaged more than 1 turnover a game. And the last year plus, he's at 1 turnover every 3 games. And the Bills, by the way, as a team, they don't lose fumbles. They have been incredibly clean, and that starts with Josh. And that is what makes them scary. Like we referenced it earlier, in 2023, so not last season, but the season before, final game of the year, AFC East on the line, Bills, Dolphins. Josh Allen had 2 picks in the first quarter. Had a fumble later in the game. You know, it had a 3-turnover game in a game that was playing for the 2 or the 3 seed, depending on who won. And then he's just not that guy anymore, or he has not been for now 20-some games. That is hugely in their favor. Why I won't call them yet, Danny, the class of the AFC is because it feels like every year in September they're the class of the AFC.
Didn't they lower a banner a few years ago?
Well, no, I lowered banners calling them the September champs.
No, but didn't Buffalo also
They had
have
it
a banner
before the
in
season.
field
You talking
house?
about that Super Bowl trophy?
That was in the offseason. They had that was about goals. But every year they are. This is what I want to ask you before we move on. I would look at the graphic you put up as concerning.
That they've underachieved in the postseason?
Well,
it's not January yet.
No. This isn't evidence that if they have been the best in every stat for 5 years and they've somehow never been the 1 seed, and in that stretch they've been to 2 of the 5 conference championship games and they've been to the Super Bowl 0 of the 5 times, then I would almost feel like that nothing would give you confidence. Like that this year, if anything, to my eye, the defense is actually a little worse than it usually is. You're telling me the offense has been year over year the best of anyone ever. Like, what makes you feel like this? Is it that this year will be different, or it's that eventually they just have to break through?
It's that one. It's that they have been playing as well as a team that can win a Super Bowl for years, and I think it is, like, close your eyes. Can you see this guy hoisting the Lombardi Trophy? We do that test all the time with that. Like, I think we all see it for Josh Allen. I will be absolutely floored.
The problem is everybody in Baltimore sees it for Lamar Jackson.
Sure.
Those 2 guys in the same boat.
Yeah, and they are very, very similar, and one guy beat that guy this year in the regular season, last year in the postseason. Like, I trust Josh a little bit more than I trust Lamar in January.
So that's
fair.
That part's definitely fair. I think that Brew's team, I think the argument would be if the sample size were not 5 years, but were the last 3 years, I bet the Ravens are close to first across the 8. You know what I mean?
You know, it's my team too. I
forgot. So Brew, you are
Herbert guy.
You're the show's Herbert guy and Ravens guy. I'm the show's Bills guy. We all know this. All right, moving on to my actual team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Not just rare, unprecedented for this team. Week 3 must win. Mahomes realizes the urgency for this game. Brew, are you concerned about Mahomes and the Chiefs?
I'm not. And I'm surprised I hear a lot of people talking about the Giants upsetting. I mean, we got 2 right here talking about the Giants beating them. I just, until I see them lose to the freaking New York Giants and Russell Wilson, I just won't believe it. I think this is about as close as we can get to a must-win for them, because we all know they play Baltimore next week. You lose this game, you lose that, you're 0-4, and it's still going to be tough. I think they got Jacksonville after that.
Yeah, Jacksonville,
but then Detroit. Yeah,
so Rice is back.
And everybody is, I mean, Mahomes obviously is on high alert. Kelsey, I'm sure, is looking in the mirror and saying, I haven't been good so far. So I just think, Coach, they're going to come out there and take care of the Giants. I think it'll probably be close, because we know the Chiefs haven't been blowing a lot of teams out lately, but I think they'll pull out the win.
Yeah, so he's lined up 3 games now and lost the last 3 games that he's lined up and played, and we can say that Super Bowl, doesn't matter because it was last year, but it was.
Super Bowl matters.
But
Super Bowl matters the most.
Well, but I'm just saying, it was last season, so you can't.
2 or 3 game losing streak, depending on how you.
Yeah, how you want to look at it, and you do have to focus on the little details. And success is like a martini; it does relax you, and you can get away from those things. And as you see the way they lost last game, it was very un-Chiefs-like. Okay, so they missed the field goal. They get stopped on 4th and 1. They have a pass that's batted up and then intercepted. those things typically, those are the plays that the Chiefs do make to win the games and to win the close games. So that's my concern is all those plays that they made last season haven't been going their way this year, and hopefully they can switch it back.
Well,
but it's a concern.
Real quick before you go, Danny.
No, go ahead.
Here is why my confidence level is where it is. I don't think they need to fix any of that this week. I do think they do need to in week 4 against Baltimore. I think the way they played week 1 against the Chargers would have soundly beaten the Giants.
Yeah.
And I think the way they played
6,
last week
7,
against the Philadelphia Eagles would have soundly beaten the Giants. So
and you get Worthy back.
hopefully, and I think he will play, and hopefully you can get out of the game unscathed and move on from being so concerned about his shoulder. So I do think it is legitimate to be concerned or pessimistic in some camps, or at least curious, like, hey, does this Chiefs team actually have the horses to get to its 4th straight Super Bowl, something that's only been done once ever? I think that concern does not translate to, can they go to MetLife Stadium, a place the Giants have lost 11 of 12 night games against Russell Wilson, who has scored 37 in his last game and didn't score 17 in his 5 prior, and beat the New York Giants, which is why we argued about it. I told you I did think the Dolphins had a better chance of beating Buffalo than the Giants had of beating Kansas City, even though the point spreads.
I've been part of a couple moments in my career, and one time when I was with Parcells at the Jets, we were playing the Giants, and I would have bet my house that we would beat them and beat them convincingly, and they beat us, I think it was like 40-15 or something, and they were down, beat up. It's another time we were playing Green Bay in New England, and the offensive coordinator at the time came down and said, hey, as long as you guys hold them under 50, we're going to win. And then they beat us 13-6. So it's one of those things where when you start underestimating your opponent.
But I don't think the Chiefs, because I'm underestimating them, doesn't mean the Chiefs are. I think the Chiefs at 0-2 are dialed.
But I hear you, but the human emotion side, everybody watches TV. They have friends and family.
The show's very popular in Kansas.
Well,
we just saw that.
But there is that component of by human nature, you think, oh, we're going to walk this in, and it's pro football with a lot of good players, and that's what gets you.
So, not to be a stickler for the details here, but concerned at all about Mahomes and Chiefs Sunday? Mahomes, no. Mahomes, I think, is fine and is great and is in his prime and all of that. But what do the Chiefs do well? Let's just remove the Giants from the equation for a minute. The Chiefs have a ton of problems. In this exact moment, what can they hang their hat on? The other team gets paid to play too. It's a salary cap sport. The gap between the best team and the worst team in the NFL is usually 14 points, according to the odds makers.
Sure.
And here it's 6, and it's a road game at night. Let's just look at some of the things that the Chiefs have done. And yeah, it's through 2 games, and it's 2 games against the Chargers and the Eagles. But they cannot run the ball. They were amazing on 3rd down last year. They cannot convert on 3rd down. They cannot get takeaways. They cannot stop the other team's passer, and they cannot pressure the quarterback, despite, against Philly, blitzing more than in any game since Steve Spagnuolo has been the defensive coordinator for the Chiefs. They were blitzing Jalen Hurts, and they were not getting home. So I think they will win. I am not picking the Giants to win. But when you have that many problems, you can lose to anybody. That's just how the league works.
When you look at that, you have to put it in the context of it's only 2 games.
Sure.
And it's 2 games against Super Bowl contenders.
Well,
I agree with you.
And they only lost by a total of
9.
9 points.
But the other thing, if you throw up Danny's graphic again, so here, I'm going to go through that and tell you the things that I think are real and fake. As far as concerns.
Let's play the game.
All right. Running back rush yards being a problem, incredibly real.
Yes.
Real enough that this is the first Chiefs team of this era that I barring something unforeseen happening with Broussard Smith, the rookie, I don't think it's a luxury to trade for a guy at the deadline. I think they might need to trade for a guy at the deadline.
I've been asking for Alvin Kamara as a Chief for 2 years.
I love that idea. I've been saying Devin Achane, somebody. 3rd down percentage, I believe that's fake. I think that,
they
again,
will be fine?
it's yes, because even last year, Brew, as we talked about, when Mahomes had his worst statistical season, he was unbelievable on third downs. That I think will fix. Takeaways, that to me is the sample is too, yes, they have 0 through, they're tied for last. Had they gotten, if they had won, they'd be like middle of the pack. So like that, do I think they're going to be a dominant takeaway team? No. Do I think that'll get better? The opponent passer rating is the fakest of the fake, because do we think the Eagles threw the ball well against them? That's one of the 2 games.
No, I mean, and he had a high completion percentage, which inflates that. But the bottom one pressures.
That's real.
But that leads to takeaways and passer rating.
I agree with you. It's not the only thing that does. I agree with
indicator.
You. But that's what I was going to say is I think running back problems are real, and I think the inability to get to the opposing team's quarterback are real. I think the things in the middle are not going to look like that moving forward.
Sure.
And again, the real concern about if the Chiefs play the way they played against Philly, Baltimore will beat them. I think Baltimore's better than Philly. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And Baltimore is a more dynamic, at this moment, threatening offense than Philly is. The Chiefs are not losing to the Giants and Russell Wilson, and I'm not talking about it again. And I'll tell you right now, if they do, Danny, you might be in this chair Monday, because I might be coming down with what Wild says. Next!
Promotion.
We're ending in Philadelphia. Ending the block, I should say. Eagles hosting the Rams Sunday at 1 Eastern on Fox. The NFL reportedly told the refs, hey, that super controversial play that the commissioner wanted banned, how about you officiate it correctly? Nick Sirianni doesn't seem too worried about it. Do you expect this to hurt the Eagles on Sunday?
No. I agree with Nick. They may have addressed it a little bit in terms of where they're aligning, talking about not jumping off sides. They've done it a million times, and it is a difficult play to officiate. So unless they want to make some sort of dramatic statement, the officials do, and someone's going to have to hang their hat on that to be that guy. And I don't know if you want to be that guy without it being clear cut. I don't see much changing. And are they going to officiate it both ways? So if the defense is in the neutral zone, are they going to call that as well? Would they be willing to call that? I'm not.
That'd be unbelievable if the turnabout of this being a focus is all of a sudden they start calling the defense for neutral zone infraction.
But we've heard that
Right, both sides.
So many times that they're in the neutral zone.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think they'll be fine. I think this might even, especially seemingly knowing Sirianni's personality, they may go out and try to, if they do it and they have just as much success, then that also is another mental advantage they'll have. And look, even if the tush push doesn't work, they're giving the ball to Saquon Barkley behind the best offensive line in the league. So I think they'll be fine.
It'd be hilarious if he did it on first down. Just to prove a point. He's like, I'm going to do it on all 4 downs. Listen, I think
that train's coming down the tracks,
I
boys
do
and
not
girls.
want to see that.
no one wants to see it, which is why they should have voted to outlaw it last year. Listen, I find this play to be uninteresting, predictable, bad television.
Predictable because nobody can stop them.
Yeah, and you know what's coming. Normally, I like when the ball is snapped. I don't know if it's a run or a
Nobody
pass.
can stop the Eagles, but a lot of people have stopped other teams that try to
Right.
run.
Yes,
right.
So
That's
to me,
the thing.
that's what gives. That's why you shouldn't ban this play, just because they're better at it than everybody else.
Yeah, my guess is there will be a penalty called in this game on it, which can change a drive.
Yeah.
But in the aggregate, over the course of the season, say it got outlawed tomorrow, I still think the Eagles would be the best 3rd and short, 4th and short team in the league by a comfortable margin. Because of Saquon, because of their offensive line, because
And
of
even
Jalen
Jalen,
Hurts. And because of Jalen Hurts, who can squat 600 pounds, so he can probably push the offensive line 6 inches forward if he needs to. So I think we talk about it a lot because it's controversial and it's weird and it looks different than everything else. But in terms of its impact on Philly's success, I think it's way overstated.
See, here's where I totally disagree with you. I agree. I absolutely agree that they would be a great short yardage team either way.
The best.
I think Detroit's probably great at. You know what I mean? I don't know. Baltimore should be great at short yardage, but Philly, the combination of Saquon and Jalen. The reason I think this play is massively important is not about the touchdowns. It's about two things. It's about their courage to go for fourth downs other teams won't in their own territory because it is such a lock, and the fact that they regularly on 3rd and 8 run the ball or throw intentionally short of the sticks where they're being let because the plan is if we get it within 2 yards, we'll go for it. I think that is where the real advantage is. I don't think it's when they have 1st and goal after a pass interference at the 1, and so that to me is a strategic difference.
But you're still going under the premise that this is an unfair play. That they have an unfair advantage.
I'm going under the
and they're taking advantage of this unfair advantage.
No. It's not that I think it's unfair. I agree with Roger Goodell. We're not going to have time to play the sound. Sean McVay, who called it a rugby play. Dan, who said it's ugly. It just doesn't feel like the NFL to me. But let me say this before we go. As a guy who's been a fan of the team, who all of a sudden the broadcasters were like, hey, that guy is lining up funny in Jawan Taylor, and it became a focal point. There is a sprawl of that. And the sprawl for the Chiefs that season was they're paying so much attention to where guys are lined up before the snap looking at Jawan Taylor. Oh, man, Kadarius Toney was offensive offsides on a game-winning touchdown. Like, you don't want the media narrative to be, we need to focus on your team's infractions. That can have real effects. I think Philly feels it this weekend. That's all. Parkins picks. I can't
wait.
Coach, what did you say about the Martini? My God. Parkins picks.
That's right, Brew.
Yeah, well, I need one.
Talk about small sample size.
Danny tries to go 3-0.
Beat him for one.
I beat him in week 1. Nobody cares.
Yeah, because
I beat him in week 1.
Last year, this year. Time now for the humblest pick segment in all of sports television. I bought this chain.
I look
with my
forward
winnings.
to seeing you in the crown and the cape.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, that's right. I earned this cape. But here's the thing. Sometimes, because of lifestyle choices, my memory, not so hot anymore. I mean, I see the NFL very clearly, but, the memory's short term. It can kind of escape me. How did I do last week? How did it go? That's what it was. Talk about easy, easier, and easiest. My God. Rams over Titans. That was free money. Bills over Jets. Could have been 16.5 and it would have covered, Willie, but it was only 6.5. And then, Eagles Chiefs came down to the fourth quarter, but still wrong team favored. And the Eagles came out ahead. So 3-0 plus a fluke of a 1-2, 4-2. That's 66%, even better than the 65% from last year. But I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm here to make money in week 3. Number 1, the Chargers. Only 2.5. I'll be honest. Scares me a little bit. Feels like it should be 3.5. But you know what? I'm going to just trust how I'm seeing the NFL. And here's the thing. You guys know how I feel about the Chargers. Their defense, their offensive line, their coach, obviously number 10, Justin Herbert, right now one of the favorites for MVP. But what people don't talk about, they say, the Denver Broncos, great defense, great coach, up-and-coming quarterback. Maybe a lot of that is true. But what about the wins that the Denver Broncos have had? When Denver won their games, their last 9 wins, what, am I supposed to be impressed? You beat Cam Ward, Carson Wentz, Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew twice, Kirk Cousins, Bryce Young, Spencer Rattler, and Jameis Winston. Methinks this is a step up in competition when you get Justin Herbert on the road. Broncos defense is good, but not against elite quarterbacks, of which Justin Herbert is exactly that. I think the Chargers cover the 3 going away. This number also shocked me. And I know it's a road favorite, which people say, well, that's a public bet. Atlanta minus 5.5 in Carolina. I can't decide which is the bigger advantage in this game, so I will just show you Atlanta's defense. Because Atlanta's defense, coming into the year, for the last 5 years, they've had the worst pass rush in the NFL. And then they used their 2 first-round picks, right? Yep. They traded up to get Pierce, and they got 2 first-round picks. All of a sudden, pressure percentage, sack percentage, opponent passer rating. And Bryce Young, terrible under pressure. And so, again, 2-game sample, I don't think the Falcons are a top 5 defense in the NFL. But I know that Carolina is a bottom 5 defense in the NFL because they were the worst defense in the league by far last year. And think about Atlanta. You're Michael Penix. In week 1, you play Todd Bowles' defense. In week 2, you play Brian Flores' defense. And in week 3, you get Carolina. It's going to feel like practicing against JV. Atlanta wins this game by 2 touchdowns. This is a blowout across the board. Third and final pick. I doubted him for 1 week. The Rams, plus 3.5 against the Eagles. 3 and the hook. Most common outcome for NFL games is 3 points, so you're giving me 3.5. You lose by 3, could still cover the spread. This one is a quarterback evaluation point, and the game just means more to the Rams. So a little bit of vibes on this one. But Matt Stafford has been excellent. I mean, just across the board, it's not a surprise. Yards per attempt has been great. He was great against Philly last year. And this Eagles defense is not as good as Eagles defenses of the last couple of years. Certainly not as good as last year because of how young they are. All the guys that they lost, they haven't been getting to the quarterback as much. Stafford, when he's pressured, the numbers obviously go down. That's what Jalen Carter will be trying to do. But I think Stafford picks apart the Eagles. And again, if that was a 62-minute playoff game, they win last year. So I feel like this is a revenge for the Rams. So to recap, Rams in the points, Falcons lay in the wood, Chargers minus the 2.5. As I see the NFL very clearly, Willie Colon and Coach Mangini, I see 3-0 this week. Coach, what about you?
I think this might be a 2-1 week for you. And I probably watch more Carolina football than a lot of people because my youngest son, Zach, is a big Carolina Panthers fan.
Sorry, Zach.
So I know it's been a little bit of a tough run, and I'm an E.J. Evero fan, who's the defense coordinator there, and I think he's going to get that defense worked out. I've also been a big fan of Atlanta over the last couple of years, only to be disappointed over and over again. And when you look at Carolina's game last week, they were down 27-3, okay, and they came back, and it was 27-22. Carolina had the ball with a chance to win it and weren't able to close it out. But to me, that shows a lot of resilience for a team that everybody says is dead. And Atlanta, a little bit of the flip side of that, where I keep thinking they're turning the corner and then get disappointed.
Calling my DraftKings VIP account. He likes my bet on the Falcons.
Well, I'm going against your pick, the Chargers versus Broncos. I'm going with the Broncos. Listen, you got to understand, this is a big game for the Chargers. It allows them to get their respect within the division. You got to understand, Bo Nix is 0-2 versus the Chargers. If he can carry the great offensive success he had against the Colts last week, threw for over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. But I got a little video for you. If they can win early, especially on first down, here we go. Second quarter. 1st and 10, got a little window dressing. They pull the left guard, right? Boom, let them go. Double teams up front between the center and right guard, which sucks in the defense. Look at those linebackers bite on the run. Bo Nix pulls the ball. He finds Troy Franklin for a big catch and a big gain. If they're efficient on 1st and 2nd down and they play that way, they can run out the building with a dub against the Chargers. So I'm excited for Bo Nix. I'm excited for this offense, man. And I think they're going to upset the Chargers.
Well, you're allowed to be wrong. Good tape, though. You're allowed to be wrong. Looks like 3-0 to me. And those games all happen on Sunday.
Yes.
One of the best matchups of the week is on Monday night as we go to Baltimore. The Ravens have the Lions at home. Ravens currently just 1-1, of course, despite their absolutely ridiculous numbers. They're a 4.5-point favorite in this game. Lamar Jackson, unbelievable stats for a number of years now, but he is not terribly interested in discussing his stats. Can Lamar and the Ravens afford a 1-2 start here? They're a 4.5-point favorite at home, Coach.
I really like what Lamar's saying, and I believe that he doesn't worry about his statistics, and I think that's really positive. They're better positioned to survive a 1-2 start because of the division they're in. The Browns, they can't quite get out of their own way. There's been a lot of dysfunction there. Cincinnati, we talked about Joe Burrow going down. We don't know how that's going to play out moving forward, but that dramatically changed the division. And then in Pittsburgh, who knows what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers and Arthur Smith. The defense has been incredibly disappointing. So the Ravens seem like they have a chance to run away with the division, even if they get off to this slow start. Where on the flip side, Detroit, they're going to be chasing Green Bay throughout the course of the season, and it's a different equation for them.
Yeah, I expect a brawl in the harbor Monday night. Like I said, the Lions are bringing Aiden Hutchinson, and Lamar's pulling up with ski mask in a getaway boat. Like I expect that, but this comes down to the deficiency of the Detroit Lions, especially with their injuries. Jack Campbell's banged up. You talk about Marcus Davenport being banged up. If they can't speed Lamar Jackson up, he's going to have a stat day. Like, he's going to light him up. He's that type of caliber. And they got the three-headed dog. You talk about him, Henry, Mark Andrews. And by the way, Isaiah likely is most likely will be back in this game. So for me, I know he's going to show up. It's just it's a matter of what does the offensive side for the Detroit Lions look like, because I expect a good game.
Go ahead.
Getting Isaiah likely back,
It's going to be big.
That's big.
Yeah, it's huge.
You know, Brew's not out here for S-Bob, and it's his team, the Ravens. But, like, I look at them very similarly to the Bills. It's like, if they lose the game, we are going to come in on Tuesday.
Oh, no question.
And we're going to be like, well, that was weird, but they can still win. Right? Like if their losses are to Buffalo in week 1 and then to the Lions on Monday Night Football, we will still all assume that the Ravens can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but look how we consider those other two teams Super Bowl contenders. So now we say, well, if you can't beat the guys who are in competition for winning the Super Bowl,
especially at home,
how are we going to look at you now?
Yeah, and I think that they might be downgraded in some people's eyes, but to Coach's point, they're going to be there at the end. Yeah. Because there is no doubt in my mind that Baltimore is a double-digit win team that will look very impressive statistically.
And you never think of their division as being light, but this year it's light.
Because of the Burrow injury and the trust in Rodgers, no question about it.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.